Hi, my name is David Carpenter. I'm a Career Foundry data analytics student. I'm working on exercise 5.7. And part two of the exercise says that I should answer 5 interview questions as practice. And I'll be going over 5 of them now and do my best to provide answers to them. So the first question is, what does the CRISP DM methodology for data mining entail? What does the data analyst do in each stage? The CRISP DM framework is a method that is used for data mining and stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining. It consists of 6 different steps. The first step is business understanding, and what the data analyst does in this phase is that he or she just tries to understand what the business does, tries to get an understanding for the business's goals and what defines success. The second stage in the CRISP DM framework is data understanding. This refers to the fact that the data analyst needs to understand where the data comes from, how it's collected, how it's processed, where it's saved. The third step is data preparation. This is done before the data analysis is actually done. The data is collected, it's cleaned, it's wrangled, it's modified, it's put into a form where data analysts can perform analysis on it, but first it needs to be prepared. Some decisions about missing values, such as cells or values that are not there, that weren't collected, also needs to be made. These rows or values could be deleted, they could be imputed, or they could be kept as they are, but a decision needs to be made in this phase. The next step 4, is modeling. And in this phase, a decision needs to be made about the algorithm and the logic that is used to actually perform analysis on the data. Some algorithms include segmentation or clustering or using decision trees. The fifth phase is evaluation, and this is done after the data has been analyzed. The data needs to be tested, needs to be reviewed for completeness and correctness. And the sixth and final stage is deployment. This is where the algorithm and logic that was applied to the analysis is put into production. Data is actually collected, it has been cleaned, and then it is run through the algorithm, and an output is collected, and then it is determined, or it is measured rather, and determined how effective it can be used to work towards the goals that were defined earlier in the CRISP DM phase in step data understanding. The next question is, explain what needs to be done before you can forecast time series. In other words, what does time series analysis involve? Time series analysis involves, as the name implies, time of some sort. So data needs to be collected over a period of time. Could be revenue or some kind of other quantifiable value, maybe clicks on a button or something like this. And time series data can be classified into 3 different types: stationary, autocorrelation, and seasonality. Stationary time series data refers to data that follows some kind of pattern over time. It might have fluctuations, it might increase or decrease, but the general pattern over time can be tracked, and it follows some kind of predictable pattern. The next type of time series is autocorrelation, and this refers to values that are always the same at specific time intervals. So there might be fluctuations over time, but given any time point, it will be the same as its previous time in the past. For example, if maybe there are sales that are being tracked at a retail store, generally these sales reach a certain peak or value in December, close to the holidays, and then they will decrease early in the following year. Then they will increase again in December. So this represents an autocorrelation value. And the third is seasonality. This is similar to autocorrelation. In fact, autocorrelation and seasonality can both hold. Time series data can be both autocorrelation and seasonality. Seasonality, of course, refers to seasons. Again, a similar example holds true for what I just described. If data follows some kind of pattern based on the seasons, then it could be classified as seasonality. The next question is discuss the main principles of data ethics, as well as what companies or organizations could do to uphold these principles. Data ethics is a framework dealing with biases that occur in data, and there are different kinds of biases. The first is collection bias. This can refer to errors or misjudgment that is made when data is collected. The data might not come from a trustworthy source. For example, if online reviews are being considered as a source of data, this might not be the best type of data to collect and make big decisions on, because many times reviews made online contain a lot of negative feedback, and of course this doesn't really value the positive feedback that also might be present. The next type of bias is sample bias. This is done when data is not collected properly. Maybe too little data is collected, or data that doesn't represent a complete view of a population. Exclusion bias occurs when data is specifically excluded or not included in analysis. The next type is measurement bias, and this is when problems with the computation or the machines that are used to perform analysis occur. And presentation bias is another form of bias that occurs when maybe an incorrect graph or some kind of errors are made when presenting and explaining the data to a larger audience. This question continues by asking, what can companies do to uphold these principles? First of all, I think that companies could hire qualified people that are aware of these biases, so that they can hopefully avoid them. But companies also need to empower their analysts to ensure that measures are taken to avoid these kind of biases and maintain some kind of adhesion to data ethics. The next question is, imagine you're an analyst at a financial services company and you have some concerns about bias in the way a predictive model was measured. How would you raise your concerns with your manager? Make some suggestions for how to avoid measurement bias in the future. I would be sure to approach my manager and give honest feedback very soon in the analysis process, preferably even before that, as a means to prevent any kind of leakage, or to prevent this data from getting out into the general public and be shown to stakeholders, so that this might influence their decision if they see incorrect data. I would hope that my boss would have an open mind and would be open to receiving this kind of feedback from someone. It's really important that data analysts have a positive and open relationship with people who consume the data that they analyze, because there's some big decisions that can be made from it. So it's really important to be open and honest about making it known if there are problems. To avoid measurement bias in the future, what could be done is an internal audit. People from other areas of the analysis department could be brought in and be given access to the algorithm or model that was used to perform the analysis, and they could give feedback on how well it is performing. The next and final question is, explain the difference between regression and classification models in predictive analysis. When would you use one of these models over the other? Regression models refer to the measurement of a relationship between two quantitative values. For example, how one variable might affect another. Maybe could be time and revenue. Maybe it could be considered, or maybe another example would be weather and revenue. Basically, imagine you're selling ice cream cones. The weather, the heat, might increase the likelihood that someone would purchase ice cream. So this is an example of where a regression model might be used. The other type of model that's mentioned in this case is a classification model, and this is used to predict the likelihood of when something might fall into a specific category. It's generally used for binary information such as yes, no, up, down. Maybe if you're using a spam filter and you're measuring its effectiveness, you could classify an email into either spam or not spam. Yes, so these are two examples of characteristics of regression and classification models. Thank you.